IC analysis. Frank Palmer, in his book Grammar, says that American linguist of 50s, obviously is referring to Chomsky, remarked that syntax was that part of the linguistics which everyone thought that the other linguist would define. The structuralist had explained very successfully, thought that they have very successfully explained morpheme, right? And they had little to do with syntax or with syntax, sentence. So they try to solve the problem of sentence by using the approach to dividing sentence into its immediate constituent called ICs or immediate constituent. So their approach to this immediate constituent was to divide sentence into two. The basic principle behind was the principle of IC analysis is to cut a sentence into two and then to cut those parts into two and to continue with the segmentation until the smallest indivisible unit, the morphemes, are reached. So they would take a sentence, then cut it into two, and they keep on cutting the constituent unless they get the smallest unit, that was morpheme. So as a general principle, the division is binary. The sentence is first divided into two constituents. For example, if we have a sentence like the young man followed a girl, right? So they would divide the young man followed the girl. They have divided it into two constituents. First the young man and then followed the girl. Then they would cut each constituent as followed a girl, followed plus a girl, then a and girl, and the young man, the plus young man, and young plus man, and follow plus ed or ed. This is how they try to solve the problem of analyzing the constituent of the sentence. So they used another method, that was cutting the sentence with a straight bar. So if you can look at that, they cut it. First they made a cut, the young man followed the girl, and then the young man, and then young, and then man. Since man reached in the third cutting, so it has 3 bars and it has 2 bars. Then they cut the followed and a girl. So you can see that how many times they have cut each constituent. The similar can be explained with the help of round brackets. The young man followed a girl. So you can see that each bracket tells that how many times each constituent was cut. The same thing can be explained through a tree diagram. For example, you can see the young man. So this is one constituent, and then it is divided how this constituent is divided, followed again into 2 and followed a girl. So they also explain through this tree diagram. How do we know where to make a cut? So the question arises that how we make the first cut in a sentence. So the answer to this question lies actually in the notion of expansion. What is expansion? A sequence of elements said to be expansion of another. For example, if we have a sequence of expansion, right? If we have sequence of words. So this sequence is actually the expansion of another sequence or another element. So expansion in this term is a very technical term. The substitution of one sequence of element for another. So expansion means that we can substitute one element with another element. You can see the examples. For example, we have children, right? So we can substitute it with American children, and we can substitute it with 3 American children. Again, 3 American children with a dog. Binary cut is difficult to justify. However, when we talk about this cutting off this immediate constituent with the first cut in a sentence, we sometimes come across difficulty that where to cut the sentence or a phrase even. For example, if we look at this, Egyptian cotton shirt. If this phrase is there, so where the first cut is to be put? Either between Egyptian and cotton shirt, or Egyptian cotton and shirt. So Egyptian cotton shirt or Egyptian cotton or shirt. So despite the fact that in this IC analysis gave the linguist to analyze the sentence in their simplest form, right, with this binary cutting. However, this IC analysis has some problems, or it was unable to answer certain questions. For example, firstly, it does not indicate what kind of elements those constituent parts are. It does not even identify except implication. For example, when we make a cut and the cut goes till the last constituent, so we cannot say that last constituent is which grammatical category. Is it noun, verb, adjective, preposition, etc. So this is one of the faults of IC's analysis, in which we do not know that which constituent, which syntactic categories these constituent are. Second thing, it does not show clearly that noun phrase are built on noun phrase, verb phrase on verb phrase. For example, if we just had an example of children and American children, 3 American children, they were all examples of noun phrases. But this theory does not give us any thought about that, how noun phrases are built on noun phrases and verb phrases are built on verb phrases, right? So this is the second fault. And thirdly, IC analysis does not tell us how to form new sentences to produce sentences that have not already been attested in some corpus of data. So there is no talk about the creativity, making sentence on the structures. So these are some of the faults of IC analysis or immediate constituent theory that made room for phrase structure grammar, which explain that which constituent are there and probably give us understanding for phrases and then for the whole sentence.